Hello, so today we are going to take a look at page 39, answering a given rhythm. Okay, let's take a look at what a rhythm is. First of all, a rhythm is a bunch of notes that is made to be played. So it can be any combination of notes, from quavers to crotchets. You can add minims, you can add semibriefs, any kind of notes that you have learned so far. Usually you would get a 2-bar rhythm as your starting rhythm, and you have to complete the next 2 bars with your own rhythm. It's like answering a question. So here is your question. So you have to answer in a musical sentence. If someone asks you a question, what is your name? Would you give somebody else's name? Would you give your cat's name or your dog's name? No, right? You would answer with your own name. Just like that, in music, you can use some of these notes and rhythm patterns to answer your rhythm. Let's take a look at the example here. There's a crotchet here. So that is your beat 1. This is in 3/4 time. Then you have 4 quavers. So here is your beat 2. And here I'm going to add an end because we have 2 half account notes for 1 crotchet. So we need to play 2 notes within the second beat. Then here is your third beat and the end of that third beat. Okay, so what I just did was breaking the beat into 2, and I'm going to add an end in between the beats. So just remember, the end is there inside the crotchet also, but I didn't want to write it because I didn't want to crowd the music. So just remember that a crotchet is a full beat. There's also another way that you can count. You can use something like this. You can use ta for crotchets. You can use TT for quavers. If there are 2 quavers, use 2 T's. If there's 1 quaver, you can say T. So T is shorter than ta, right? Ta, T, 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 T. Then for the minim, you want to have a count that is longer than the ta. So I will add a 2. This also reminds us the number of counts. So you can say 2. And here is your third beat. Right, so let's clap this rhythm and see how it sounds like. Ta, ti, 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 2, ta. Or you can count 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So that's your given starting rhythm. How would you answer that? Now what I would do if I were you, I would mix up these same notes and make up a different rhythm. I could write 4 quavers instead of starting with the crotchet, and maybe move the crotchet at the end of the first bar. I could write a crotchet here and then move the minim, or maybe I can just add both of them together and just write a dotted minim. So there's a lot of ways that you can write a rhythm. Let's clap this to see how it sounds like. Ta, ti, 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 2, ta. That's my question, and my answer is ti, 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 ta, tai. You can count tai for a dotted minim a little longer than the 2, or else even if you added a crotchet and a minim, I think it would sound nicer. So let's see how that sounds. So my answer would be ti, 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 ta, ta, 2. So I think I like this one better. So you can always erase your answers if it doesn't sound good to your ears. If you don't like it, you can always redo them and clap and see if it sounds good for you. So a lot of composers, they love to edit. They rewrite music, they erase it until they find something that they are really happy with. So you can also try doing that. Let's take a look at question 1. Answer the following rhythms. So you're given 2 bars in your question, and you're supposed to write the next 2 bars with your rhythm. Okay, so let's take a look at the example here and clap this rhythm. Ta ti 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 two two. I can count with numbers 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and make sure you check the time signature before you start counting. Okay, then there's an answer given in your example, so something similar. So we're starting with quavers here. Tit 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 ta tit tit to. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and ta tit 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 2 2 tit 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 ta tit tit to. Let's think of another way that we can write this. Maybe add 2 crotchets here and add 4 quavers here. Let's see how that sounds. So here's my beat 1, beat 2, 3 and 4. I can close the bar after that, and I can add a semi-breve to my last note. So make sure you're having a longer note at the end of your bar to finish off the music. So just like any other sentence, we finish off with a full stop, right? So music also has to have a full stop. So that's why we usually end with a longer note. If not, for a semi-breve, you can add some 2 minims. Okay, just make sure it's not a crotchet or quaver that you're ending with. So let's clap this. Ta ta ti 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 two two. So there's another way that you can write these answers. There are so many ways that you can work this out. So I want you to clap this rhythm. Write your own rhythm and clap, just like I did with you. Let's take a look at the next one. 3-4 times signature. Ta rest, ta ti ti two. Okay, ta rest, ta ti ti two. Let's take an example. If someone asks you, where were you last night? How would you answer that question? I could say, last night I was at the theater. Or I could always say, without just saying theater, I could always have a part of the question in my answer, right? Or I could use the last night word at the end of my answer, like, I was at the theater last night. Okay, so just like in language, in music also, you can use a part of your question and repeat it. You can always do that. So in this case, I'm going to take note of this rest here. They have included a rest on the second beat. I'm going to start my phrase with the crotchet and a rest, just like the question. And maybe do a little bit of change on the third beat. I could add 2 quavers here and write a longer note here. I'm going to add a dotted minim for the 3 crotchets here. Right, so this is my answer. I've taken something from the question itself and answered it. There are so many other ways that you can answer. My answer is ta rest tit tit tai. So let's move on to the second one. We have 2-4 times signature. That is ta tit 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 ta. I'm going to repeat this first bar on my answer, and the second bar I might change it a little. So feel free to add in your own rhythms. Don't copy my answers. You can have your own ideas when you're writing rhythms. Okay, so I'm going to complete it with a minim on my last bar. So here's my answer. Ta tit 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 ta, ta tit tit two. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. I have a dotted minim and 2 quavers. So you can see beat 1, 2, 3 are combined together with a dotted note, and here is your beat 4. And okay, we have to have 2 quavers for the crochet. So then beat 1 and 2 in the next bar is in the minim. Beat 3 and 4, the next 2 counts, includes in the next minim. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you can use tie, ti, 2, 2. So I'm going to take note of this special feature here, the dotted minim. You can see beat 1, 2 and 3 are all added together. Let's say in my answer, what if I did this? What if I wrote the 3 separate beats in crochets instead of adding them? So I'm doing the opposite of it. And then I want to keep these 2 quavers at the end, just like the first bar. So I've copied a little bit of the first bar, but not exactly the same. I can even do that. There's no hard rules that you have to copy this. But I would take something from the question to answer my phrase. And on my last bar, I want to have a single note, like a full stop. I would write a semi-breve to add 4 crochet beads in a bar. So I think that's it. This is my rhythm. Ta 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 ti ti to. You want to clap this from the beginning. Tai ti ti to do. Ta 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 ti ti to. I think that makes sense to my ears, so I want to keep this rhythm. Let's say if I don't like this, just rub it off and rewrite this answer and then clap the rhythm to see if it sounds okay. Let's say you don't like these crochets here, you can erase that and just write a minim there. Okay, so feel free to be creative as much as you can here. You're the composer and you get to decide and write your own music just the way you want it. Just keep these little tips in your mind to end with a longer note and then extract some things from the question itself. That's a good way to answer your rhythms. So in my last question, you can see there's a repeated 2 bars with 2 quavers and 2 crotchets. So let's clap this. Titti ta ta, titti ta ta. I don't want to repeat it on my 3rd bar in this case because it's already repeated. Okay, here is my chance to do something different on my 3rd bar. So I want to add something like this. But keep it simple and something that you can clap. Okay, so here's my rhythm. Ta ti 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 tai. So I think I'm done with that, and let's move on to the next lesson. Okay, here's an interesting lesson. Ostinato. An ostinato means a repeated note pattern. Simple as that. So here you can see in the example, we have a C in the first bar, followed by a G and 2 E's and a G again. Now can you see that same notes are repeated in the same rhythm in the next 2 bars? So this is called an ostinato. Okay, just remember, ostinati is the plural of ostinato. That means if you have lots of ostinatos, you can call it ostinati. So all we have to do here in the first exercise is to bracket the ostinatis. Take a good look at your question. This is in the bass clef. I have a G, D and a C in my first bar, and in the second bar also I have a G, D and a C, and you can see it's repeated every bar. So all I have to do is bracket this and show the ostinatos separately. So you can bracket them above or below, both will be correct. And on the second question, I have to repeat 2 more bars of each pattern of these ostinatos. So first you can draw the bar lines and then write out the notes. I think you can complete the answers of the following 2 questions on page 40. So once you're done with that, you can send in your answers for me to correct. And I hope you have a good week. I'll see you next time.